moved out to Malden, Massachusetts. I can never say that word. Why? I don't know. Anyway, it's Malden in Boston. And Mr. Kearney lived there with both of his parents and his brother. At the young age of 18-ish, Mr. Kearney's little brother passed away from consumption. Shortly after, both of his parents died, but he decided he was going to go to school there. So from 18 to about 25, Mr. Kearney went to school in Boston to become a better businessman. He met a gentleman right out of college by the last name of Neat. Mr. Neat taught him about steam trunks. Do you know what steam trunks are?
Yeah.
So they kind of look like a captain's treasure chest.
Yeah. Don't they sit on their side and open like this? Or
Sometimes or up, yeah. Now, Mr. Kearney, when he learned from Mr. Neat, he taught him the ins and outs, and Kearney worked his way up from a regular employee to being a part partner. So halfway through his working for the company, he became partner of the company as well. So he was earning royalties. At that time, Mr. Kearney met quite a few influential people from selling these steam trunks, because you had quite a bit of money if you could afford to travel the world with large trunks on boats or on trains. So that's where he met a lot of the people that he later became great friends with. Mr. Kearney purchased this house out here after moving over to San Francisco. So he kept the royalty in that company coming in as income. Moved out here after the Civil War ended, came in through San Francisco, and at that time he met another gentleman by the last name of Cheap, and Mr. Cheap taught him the ins and outs of purchasing, selling, and running estates, so real estate. And Mr. Kearney at that time, he was looking for some undeveloped land that he could purchase in a large quantity and then sell off in parcels of 20, 30, and 40 acres. Just about that time, Mr. Perrin and Dr. Church, their valley names, probably heard of them, they actually had the canal systems built and were able to bring water out here to the west side. So Mr. Kearney decided that it was time to swoop in and buy up large quantity of land here in Fresno. And Fresno was about 3 years old when Mr. Kearney moved here and purchased the land. He purchased 8,700 acres out here. So everything you see from the driveway in, that was his whole driveway, all the trees, and everything was meticulously planted out here by him and his landscaper, Mr. Ulrich. And so yeah, everything has to do with agriculture here at the Kearney Fruitvale Estate. Any questions so far?
I think you mentioned that he bought this house, or did he build
Nope, he built this house from scratch. Yeah. Now, Mr. Kearney, he hobnobbed. Kids always ask me, what's a hobnob? Anyway, but adults are going to know what a hobnob is, or what you do when you hobnob. So he hobnobbed with the rich and famous. So yeah. Oh no. That's okay. You know, like making friends with people.
Got it. I'm using that word now.
Yeah, it's fun. I think it's a fun word. Yeah, he hobnobbed with the rich and famous from England to Paris to Germany, and all of these people were his friends, but they all lived in huge castles and things. So he wanted that for himself. So when he came out here, he purchased the land, built the back building, which I'll show you later, then started construction on this in 1900, and this was completed in 1903.
He was around the same time that Hearst was, right? Randolph Hearst?
I think Hearst was more like the 1930s and 40s.
So he came after.
Before. He came before Hearst.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Hearst came after.
Right, right. Okay.
So Mr. Kearney had a bigger dream than just this house. This house he purchased and built for his colony estate. This was the house that was going to be occupied by the land superintendent. So this is the superintendent's quarters. For a while he lived in the back house before this one was built. And then he lived here for a while when this house was just being built, or right after it had been built in 1903. And then Mr. Kearney went on a trip to San Francisco in 1902, and they had the earthquake and fire. He was staying there at the Sir Francis Drake Hotel and suffered a mild heart attack, and came back here to the valley. His chauffeur brought him back and asked his doctor if he could travel to Germany. And what do you think the doctor said? Absolutely not. But what did he do? He went anyway. Men don't listen, right? Okay, so he went ahead and went on to Germany, and on his way there, he suffered a major heart attack and died on the boat.
Oh, man.
But before he left, they had already started breaking ground on what was going to be Chateau Fresno, which was his grand castle. And I'll show you pictures of that in a minute.
Oh, does it
So-
still exist?
What's that?
Does that Chateau Fresno still exist?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
There's a street, Chateau Fresno, 2 streets out.
Hmm.
So after you exit the park, if you turn left, you'll go to Grantland and then Chateau Fresno.
Okay.
Owned the land between Chateau Fresno and all the way almost down to Fresno when he first purchased. So yeah. Any questions so far? Feel free to ask too if you have any. No? Do you guys mind if I put my sweater back on?
No.
And I'm a little self-conscious of that camera on my heavy-set arms.
Sorry about that.
I was thinking your hair looks really pretty.
Oh my goodness, okay. All right, so we will go on, let's move on. So remember how I told you he traveled the world. So this was one of the photos that he had found in Germany, Frankfurt, Germany. And this photo was taken in 1902 by somebody by the last name of Blum. And it's on the Rhine River. He loved it because they were also grape growers, as you can see the grapes growing on the mountains there. But in 1903, they didn't grow grapes on vines. They grew grapes on the ground. So yeah, so it was more of like, somebody's out there. Do you mind if I check in just a